The Bitcoin Group, the American original. For only the last 10 for over the last 10 seconds, the sharpest satoshis, the best bitcoins, the hardest cryptocurrency talk. We'd like to welcome our panelists, Theo Goodman from Hass Online.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Tone Vase from Brave New Coin.
Morning, everyone. 4, 5 a.m. again in Thailand, but it's my last night here. We'll be back to normal time, thank God.
And I'm Thomas Hunt from the World Crypto Network. Moving on to our first topic. Issue 1. Ethereum's DAO soft fork may be a potential DOS vector. Things keep getting worse for Ethereum as their recent fix for the DAO crisis may open up the entire contract system to a denial of service attack. The attack seems simple because there is no gas limit on computation for the soft fork. The attacker can simply create more and more difficult problems for the global computer to solve, with no penalties, bringing the Ethereum network to a grinding halt. Theo Goodman, will things get worse before they get better?
I do think things will get worse before they get better. Basically, this just shows, I guess, one aspect of Turing Complete, because you always have another thing that you can add to it. So you could just the feature becomes a bug, the fix for the bug becomes an attack vector, the fix for the attack vector then becomes a feature that becomes a bug, that becomes an attack vector, and then it just starts again and again and again. You go on and on and on. And there's other issues. So let's say let's say that they say, okay, forget it, we're going to hard fork, and then the person that stole the ether doesn't have them anymore. Okay, well, that still doesn't stop other possible things to happen that could cause somewhat similar problems. For example, what's to prevent me from making a smart contract that defrauds your smart contract? Or what's to prevent me from creating an augur that defrauds every prediction market in augur, and then I make another prediction market that predicts which prediction markets will be defrauded in augur? So, you can always go in circles with the Turing completeness of this, and I'm not sure if it's never ending, but I don't think this is the end for now.
It reminds me of that old poem. There once was an old lady who swallowed a fly. Why, oh why did she swallow that fly? Things keep getting worse as they keep doing more and more things to get rid of the fly. Tone Vase.
Again, I'm so pessimistic on the DAO and Ethereum in general. I'm expecting things to just perpetually get worse. I'm never actually expecting the better of your when you said worse before it gets better. I'm not expecting anything to get better. And Theo is absolutely right. This has been my criticism of Turing Complete for a while. And I have two separate criticisms that I've talked about on the show many times. Turing Complete, this is the problem with Turing Complete. Everything that's happening right now is a problem with Turing Complete. There is a completely separate problem of decentralizing a smart contract, which is actually my bigger criticism, theoretically, than the Turing Complete criticism. These are two independently different things. So the Turing Complete aspect of smart contracts, when there is bearer assets on the line, and by bearer assets we're talking about assets with whoever owns it gets to spend it and keep it, like Bitcoin, and what they're trying to create now with a soft fork or maybe a hard fork. And one of the suggestions in that unreasonably long article is actually blocking IP addresses or blocking the coins. So that might make Ethereum not a bearer instrument, but there's still value on the line. This is the biggest problem. So that's the Turing Complete aspect. And decentralizing a smart contract is, again, has been my criticism. Those that haven't watched the previous episodes, the TLDR on that is the reason to decentralize something is to prevent censorship, and we don't really have a censorship problem when it comes to contracts. And we really can't have a censorship problem when it comes to contracts, because contracts need intermediation when things go bad, and they usually do. Not usually, but do in contracts. Not to mention the end result of a contract needs to be compliant with laws in your jurisdiction. So contracts are generally not censored. So because they're not censored, decentralizing contracts is just insanely inefficient. And Ethereum has combined the two into the mess we have today. So I don't see it getting better. All of their proposals are kind of silly. They should have let it go, but the Ethereum Foundation, the Ethereum, I guess, whoever's in charge of Ethereum, Vitalik or the other people, they should have just thrown Stephen Toole and the Slockit team under the bus, saying they wrote horrible code, and they're responsible, and those that donated the money are responsible for their actions, for donating their Ethereum and losing. And I said this, right? I said this in episode 95. This is a lesson in how you lose your Ethereum when you give up the private keys to a bearer instrument that you held valuable. And there you go. They should have just let it go. They should have just said, oh, this is a lesson in how to what happens when you write a bad contract. But then this would have been a perpetual problem. Then the next people would have wrote something and it would have been exploited. All right, I'm done with that one.
And each one of the fixes does seem to be making it worse. If they really do start banning IP addresses, that would be another way to censor people from using Ethereum. All you have to do is get a false positive on that list, and pretty soon you're blocking out your enemy's ability to use the product, which is, again, right. Each new fix has unintended consequences.
But that's the slippery slope argument, and we're not going to go there because you always have that, so we can't use the slippery slope. No, I think that I agree, Thomas. That's definitely true. And there's other things going on now. As far as I understand, now someone will or can correct me in the comments if I didn't quite get it right. But it's better for miners of Ethereum right now to make the gas really expensive and not execute contracts, which is basically the opposite of what Ethereum is supposed to be able to do. So I don't know how to solve that problem. And then you even have the whole thing about what's going to happen if and when it even goes to proof of stake and that whole deal. So there's so many other things that in the future that are supposed to happen that are right now even bigger question marks, in my opinion.
And remember, at a larger level here, what we really have is a battle of two design philosophies. Bitcoin is very limited in scope, limited in number of units, economically driven, and limited in what you can do with a scripting language. Ethereum is wide open. You can do anything with the scripting language. You can make any kind of contract, which again is leading to these bugs. If you're more strict in what you're trying to do, if you're more limited in your scope, you're going to have less bugs. You're going to have less unintended consequences. And unfortunately, with the DAO, with the soft fork, with the white hat DAO attack, with the backlash DAO attack, with all of these things, we're seeing that an unlimited system has unlimited attack vectors. Go ahead, Tom.
No, and Theo, you're right. I read about that as well, that they're basically incentivized to not to execute these contracts and to just mine blocks without executing any contracts. But there's other issues, right? I mean, it's just that the smarter people are working on Bitcoin, on top of everything you just said, Thomas. The significantly smarter developers are working on the core team, so that goes a long way. And they literally, I mean, this is why things move slow in Bitcoin, because these guys test their code for months, if not years. They release this stuff. Meanwhile, the Slovakia team put this thing together in like what, 2 months, 3 months? It was hilarious. I came out of nowhere. This is why I'm so pessimistic on it. I don't know. I don't understand people sometimes.
Well, these are definitely the exact things that you and others on this show have said would go wrong, and now they have gone wrong. And instead of having the humility to say, "Hey, maybe this whole thing was a mistake, maybe we screwed this up," they're trying to roll back these changes to fix perhaps unfixable problems. I'm not sure.
And again, the price of Ethereum is not a reflection of usefulness of Ethereum. It is still hype. It is still just hype. And one more point that Theo made about the gas and the payment. I mean, this is why Ethereum had to create its own coin, in order basically to profit from working on that project for themselves. There was no reason to have it. Again, there is nothing wrong with smart contracts. There was Ethereum could have built the same application and centralized the thing and charged Bitcoin for executing a smart contract without knowing what's in it. That would have been significantly safer. The point I'm raising now on Twitter is Ethereum still a public blockchain, or can it now be considered a private blockchain? Right? I mean, I don't know the answer to that. If they can just get together with the miners, Vitalik makes a phone call, and all of a sudden they're forking the thing. Can it still be a public, or is it still a public blockchain? Is my question.
I think that it's just about immutable or not, but yeah, I guess that's pretty much right. If I get on the phone, I don't think it's that easy, but yeah, I think it's definitely something that everyone needs to question.
Well, also to one last point. Also, to those listening, I found something. I found an article by Vitalik that came out literally 1 week for the launch of the DAO, and it's Vitalik explaining transaction finality, and in it he mentions how in Ethereum transactions will be more final than in Bitcoin. And it was great that he wrote this whole article 1 week before the launch of the DAO and 1 month before the hack of the DAO.
We may not know if Ethereum's a private blockchain or not, but there's one thing that we do know. In Vitalik we trust. Or maybe not. Moving on to the exit question. If you were the dictator of Ethereum, would you fork or not? Theo Goodman.
No, I wouldn't fork. And, if you can't do anything criminal with the cryptocurrency system, then what use is it? So just let everyone criminalize each other, steal from each other, and eventually you'll figure out some kind of utility.
Tone Vase.
Yeah, I would have just let it go. Like I said earlier, I would have just thrown the Stephen Tual and that whole team. I would have just thrown them right under the bus. And I said, you know what? This is what happens when you have amateurs writing applications for everyone to donate their Ethereum to.
Hackers gotta hack. It's unfortunate to lose $250 million, but soft forking, trying to undo the transaction, destroys the value of your coin. It makes it possible to do it again.
But again,
I would not soft fork.
Vitalik has a big problem because if he intends to go proof of stake, which I always say will not happen, and it's not innovative, he can't have some guy having 4 or 5% of all of Ethereum, because then that person will just sit on it and get perpetually rich. This is the problem with proof of stake.
You can. He would just be a hacker. Moving on to issue 2. Issue 2. Today I learned that the cloud is just someone else's computer. Cloud miner HashOcean was hacked recently, with a hacker taking their domain name and causing a 5-day outage in the site. The site claims that only their domain name and Facebook were hacked, and that they will begin making payments soon, allegedly. Cloud mining, still the best deal in town, or are you better off burying your money in a jar underground? Tone Vase.
I think you're better off just, throwing half your money in fire, and keeping the other half. I think you would be better off that way. So I knew what cloud mining was, but I did not know, what was it, HashOcean?
No, never heard of them before today.
I've never heard of them before, right? I have never heard of them. It's hard for me to call something like a scam that I've never even heard of, so I'm not going to do that. But the moment I hear cloud mining, I run the other way. It's this will end badly. Do I believe that it's just a hack? Probably not. It's if I have to guess, it's probably just another Ponzi scheme. Yeah, they're probably buying equipment. Yeah, they're probably mining or trying to. But if you haven't gotten all your money out of it by now, you probably never will. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll get some back. So.
True that. Theo Goodman.
Yeah, this is cloud mining 2016, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we had this back in 2013 too, with CEX was probably the biggest one that started back then. And as you can see, it's a risky business. Just look at the history of the cloud miners. I mean, come on. Mining in general, it's hard to make a profit. So why would you be able to make a profit with cloud mining? You know, just do the math, and you'll see that it's very unlikely. So let's say I buy, I don't know, what do you have, terahashes now? Let's say I buy 100 terahashes from HashOcean. How many months or a year do I need to get my return on investment? Do you really think that website is going to be around that long? Just do the math in your head. It's not really like complicated math. You just kind of get out the calculator 100 and then figure it out how much you're getting paid, and you'll realize that it's really nearly impossible to ever make any money cloud mining. Now, if a cloud mining operation is, quote, legit or not is kind of the second question, because even if they are legit and have a big mining operation, that doesn't mean that you will make money. So this whole thing with HashOcean getting hacked, now when it first happened, it wasn't clear. They said they were going to come back or whatever, but you know, you're better off holding Bitcoin or doing something else probably.
Tone Bays. We already talked to you, Tone, right?
Go ahead. No, go ahead. It wasn't that important.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing to say is that, remember, with all of these exchanges, it's possible that they have a number in their head and they're just waiting till the reserves go up to that number, and then they're going to remember what the people said about cheap marketplace and all these other dark markets. They're like, the service was fantastic until one weekend when they ran off with everyone's money. So everything goes fine for a long time, then all of a sudden they hit some number, and then, oops, the website's gone. Where'd your money go? It's gone. But
yeah,
this moves us.
Also,
it triggered a smart contract.
Yeah. On one last point, again, I don't. Did anybody even analyze that website? Like, is there a person responsible for it?
No. What I have, I've only seen people promote it. Now there are a few people making videos about it and promoting it, and of course, you know, that's fueled with the affiliate program. So it's not that there's anything wrong with affiliates. It's just that every cloud mining operation wouldn't exist without an affiliate program. And that's what really pushes the whole promotion of it, because the only way you're ever going to make money on cloud mining is from your affiliates.
The only cloud mining operation I'm pretty familiar with, and the only reason I'm familiar with it is because the CEO is at like all the conferences, and he's a really nice guy. I talk to him, I hang out with him. I'm not an investor in it. I'm just saying it's the only one I'm familiar with is Genesis Mining and Marco Strang, and but again, I would never put my money there because I don't think mining is profitable, and I'll leave it for professionals. I got into Bitcoin too late. I got into Bitcoin at the tail end of GPU mining, and even the moment I got into it, I was like, no, this is definitely not for me. So I think I might have split them with someone that was never delivered, but it only cost me I don't know, maybe 1.5 Bitcoins or something. So not the end of the world.
Exit question. Which would you rather invest in? Cloud mining or the newest altcoin? Theo Goodman.
Of course, I would go into the cloud mining, and then every day my profits that I had from the cloud mining, I would send them over to Poloniex, Bittrex, and all the other cool altcoin exchanges, and I would buy the newest piggy coin or whatever is coming out that's really cool, and I would hit that up. So what I'm doing is I'm doubling down on my profits. And you can check out my video on my YouTube channel, how to make $50 a day in Bitcoin, and click my affiliate links.
Sounds like an impressive way to drive your funds down to zero. Tone Vase.
I can't answer that question. The only advice I give to people is the only advice I now hold to myself. I literally hid the private keys to whatever Bitcoin I still have from myself. Like my Bitcoin is going nowhere. It will remain in cold storage for a while. Like I'll be like just traveling the world, not even working. Like I'll probably be living out of a cardboard box before I break into into the Bitcoin. I really believe in it long term, so I'm gonna hold on to it. It's going absolutely nowhere. I have too many bad investments already, and some of them seemed like good ideas within the Bitcoin space itself. I'm totally done with that.
Get as much Bitcoin as you can. Moving on. Tired of eating? Get fully balanced nutrition in a bottle. Buy Soylent at purse.io and get a discount. It's the future of food. Soylent Green may be made of people, but Soylent is made of goodness. And remember, you can buy anything at Amazon for a discount with Bitcoins at purse.io. Issue 3. Winklevii dump Nasdaq for bats. We can't stop here. This is bat country. The Winklevii ETF continues to creep forward pending SEC approval. The Winklevii ETF could allow investors to buy and sell shares that would represent part of the Winklevii Bitcoin hoard under the symbol coin. No date has been announced. Tone Vase, your thoughts on the Winklevii ETF and Wall Street's desire to trade Bitcoin under a different name?
Okay, so I'm sure many people are not familiar with what the BATS exchange is.
It doesn't even seem to stand for anything. I looked it up. BATS doesn't mean anything.
It's fairly new, and by fairly new, I think it's maybe about 10 years old or something like that. It kind of came out of nowhere. People should be really happy the BATS exchange exists because BATS exchange it kind of took some of the liquidity away from other exchanges. So prior to BATS, almost all Apple stock was trading on the Nasdaq. Almost all, I don't know, I think American Express stock would be like trading, or American Express would be trading on the New York Stock Exchange. But BATS took some of that liquidity, and what the great thing that BATS did was it removed, what do you call it? I'm trying to find the word here. I mean, the data feed used to be proprietary. Prior to about 10 years ago, before the BATS exchange came into Wall Street, nobody can see the price of any stock in real time unless you paid for it. So there wasn't even a single website where you can see what the price of Google is unless it's on a 15-minute delay. So I am very happy that the BATS exchange exists, because the BATS exchange is the only reason why you can go to yahoo.com the price of Google as of 3 seconds ago, because it got traded on BATS. So they allowed that data to be free for everyone. So that's the good thing about the BATS exchange. Now, Winklevoss twins going to the BATS exchange, I mean, to me, this means nothing. It's like trading one chihuahua for another, right, when you're looking for a guard dog. The problem is the SEC. It's not what exchange they're going to use. The, it really makes absolutely no difference at all. And the SEC has a big problem, which is why you may not see a Bitcoin ETF for a long, long time. And this is actually some research done by Bitcoin Uncensored podcast guys that looked into it. And the SEC raised a very good point. They don't know how to assess risk for a Bitcoin ETF, because now everyone will be able to invest in it, anyone in any portfolio. So they don't know how to assess risk, but the bigger problem is how can the SEC approve a Bitcoin ETF, because the moment they do, the next day the Winklevoss twins are going to file an Ethereum ETF. And then the next day they're going to file, I don't know, a Dash ETF, and a Monero ETF, and a Paycoin ETF, right? If a Paycoin is still being traded. Because they're running an exchange that no one actually trades on as far as they have no liquidity. So because of this issue, I don't understand when or how the SEC can possibly approve this unless they have a specific clause somehow limiting it to Bitcoin. But that's tricky, right? Because then you can just take the SEC to court, say, well, how come it's only Bitcoin? Why are you an expert on what makes Bitcoin better than Ethereum? Because I think their exchange is already starting to trade Ethereum. So this is a big problem. So you can watch this, but the exchanges are relevant. It's the SEC approval that they're waiting for, and that might take a little while.
It's a very good point, Tone. It's definitely a slippery slope. There's no reason why not to allow all the altcoins, and then the stock market is just another Cripsy. Theo, good.
Wow, it's really amazing. Now I've come to the conclusion that potentially BATS is the new Microsoft Azure of altcoins, where every altcoin is added and then gets a pump. But yeah, I think that the main advantage of the ETF, if and when it ever does come out, is just that some people that want to invest in Bitcoin but can't because of their situation, whether it's a company that wants to invest in Bitcoin but they can't because their insurance doesn't allow it or other rules and regulations don't allow it. But if there was an ETF that's approved by the SEC, then they could get exposure to it. So then it widens it out so that more people could have exposure to Bitcoin or to trading Bitcoin. So that's pretty cool, and I hope that they do manage to get it through. Now I have no idea how they're going to do it, just like Tone said, and yeah, that's an interesting point that once Bitcoin gets an ETF, then every altcoin of the week could get an ETF, I guess, if they had enough money to apply for it. That's a pretty interesting thing that I never thought of. But let's see how this develops, and maybe they've switched to BATS for a good reason, because maybe it's just easier for them, because we've been waiting for this for a long time. So Winklevoss guys, let's hope it's sooner than later.
That's a good point, Theo, that ETFs will be good for Bitcoin because it'll allow large funds and retirement funds to invest perhaps a small amount of their monies into Bitcoin through the ETF. So if it is approved, it probably would be a good thing. Tone?
My guess is the reason that they switched is because BATS is they're the new kid on the block, so they kind of push the issues a little bit. Like I said, I'm very happy that BATS Exchange exists, because now you can just go to Yahoo and look at the price. So they do push the envelope a little bit. They might be a little bit of a thorn in.
Are you trying to say that BATS is the Cripsy of the exchange world?
So maybe the reason is because the Nasdaq just wasn't accommodating. The Nasdaq might not have been helping the Winklevoss fight against the SEC to get this approved, and maybe BATS said, you know what, we'll throw our lawyers at it. So maybe that was the reason for the switch. But again, that's a big guard dog they're going up against. So we'll see if it amounts
Sure.
to anything and if it helps.
Well, that would be huge for bats, right? They could say, hey, we've got the first Bitcoin ETF. Here we are, bats. Everyone trade here. So, sure, they have a
Well, yeah, I mean,
good incentive to put some energy behind it.
I mean, it's already helping, right? I mean, the entire crypto coin community, no matter how small it is, now learned that there is another exchange besides the New York Stock Exchange and the Nasdaq, right? So it definitely can't hurt.
Definitely the first that I was hearing of it. Moving on to the exit question. What sport did the Winklevii play in college, and how did this prepare them to run their Bitcoin exchange-traded fund? Theo Goodman.
I think they were on the rowing team, as far as I know. And how did it help them run their exchange-traded fund? I don't know. I have no idea, actually.
Tone Vase.
Yeah, they have absolutely zero expertise to run anything in probably in the finance world. I don't know if they've done anything besides that. I'm not even sure what their degrees are in. But if you haven't worked at an exchange, if you haven't ran an exchange, if you don't have, the top developers that have programmed for a real exchange, no, it's risky. It's risky. You really want to create businesses in something you have a lot of experience in. I know that's an issue in Bitcoin, but you really want experience. You don't just come in and start something you've never done before within the Bitcoin space. It always ends badly.
According to the Facebook movie, the Winklevii rowed crew, but they were probably those tall guys in the middle of the boat. What they really need to be is the coxswain in the front that yells, stroke, stroke, stroke. That's what you need to run a Bitcoin exchange. Timing, dedication. But we're running out of time. We're moving on to predictions or story of the week. Theo Goodman, are you ready with a prediction or a story of the week?
Oh, yes, I'm definitely ready, ladies and gentlemen. I've got a big story of the week. We're blessed with a big innovation in the crypto blockchain distributed ledger space, and that innovation is called Wayne Chain. And if you check out waynechain.com, it explains the innovation in all the levels, and it's the fastest, it's the best. You can do everything with Wayne Chain, and it solves all your problems. So, I mean, if you have a problem, then you can blockchain it. You just go over to waynechain.com, and there you go. Like Tone said, he was feeling a little bit ill today. He's got a cold from traveling. Well, he needs to check out Wayne Chain, because then what you can do is you can, use the blockchain for medical purposes, and then you've got it. So this is a really big innovation. I encourage everyone to check out waynechain.com.
Big fan of Wayne Chain. I heard about it on the Bitcoin Uncensored podcast. Although also a big fan of Bob Chain. I think Bob Chain and Wayne Chain might have to fight it out. Tone Vey is a prediction or a story of the week.
Oh man, I was trying to find it, but I guess I'm not a good speller. Anyway, I'll have to check that out later. No, my only prediction is, well, what is it? What's the new countdown clock for the Ethereum to solve their problem? Is it like 14 days now?
Yeah, I think it's like less than 14 days right now they have to do something.
I don't see how they're gonna get it done. I can see them releasing something and just making things worse. So my prediction is the hacker will get to keep that Ethereum, and I will watch him dump it on the market for Bitcoin. That would be very, very interesting. Yes, this would be a better prediction a week from now. I just don't have anything else. I don't really have any big stories in the Bitcoin space. And the halving is coming, right? Is it next week?
Estimated for July the 10th right now.
Oh, of course. I'll be on an airplane. This always happens. Like the craziest things in Bitcoin always happen when I'm on an airplane. It's hilarious. That's the day I'm flying back to the U.S. So I'll find out when I get off the plane.
And of course, we'll be having a halvening party here at the San Francisco Bitcoin Meetup. Got a bar down the street at the El Rio. We'll all be there. Even if we're not at the right time for the halvening, we plan to celebrate it anyway, have a countdown, do the whole thing. but I didn't have time to write a prediction this week, so my story of the week is it's the 4th of July weekend here in the United States. We're celebrating the American exit from Britain, Amexit, as they used to call it back in the day. And everyone should have a good time this weekend. Have some barbecue, get some sun, wherever you are. Just have a nice weekend. That's my story of the week.
Oh, and if anyone in Ukraine, come down to Odessa. That's where I'm headed next. That's where I'm headed to Ukraine tomorrow. There's a big Bitcoin party there going on in Odessa. I think it's on the 7th of July. So it's come down there if we have any Ukrainian listeners or those in the vicinity.
The famous Odessa steps from that movie that I just suddenly forgot. But we're running out of time. It was Battleship Potemkin, of course. But we're running out of time. So we're going to end the show for this week. Anything else you guys have to say?
Any questions? Do we have anything on?
No, I didn't check. If you have questions, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have to wait until the video stops. Then you're going to have to write them in the comment section. Another thing is that you can join the World Crypto Network Slack. I don't know, Thomas, do you have to give them an invitation, or how does that work?
Right now they have to DM their email to Mad Bitcoins on Twitter, and I will invite them. You can also maybe DM your friends' emails or whatever. Just DM me some emails. I'd like to get one of those landing page things going, but I haven't had a chance yet to get people to join Slack. But it's a cool Slack group. If you want to hang out, talk crypto, maybe make some shows, that's what we do.
Right. There's different discussion channels, and you can come tell us you like our opinions, or you think that we're totally full of shit, or whatever. Welcome to come on Slack.
Yep, and I think we're out of time. I've got to go back to work. Until next time, bye-bye.